Thanks for joining us. This is Planning to Fail. I'm your host, Tim Cox, and today we're joined by Adam Marsh. We're going to be talking about his short film, Call Time.
And I've got you for a good price, don't worry.
I don't know if that's a good price.
Listen to me, Habibi. I'm not here.
I'm here, Danny.
You want it or not?
Just because you're fucking here doesn't mean anything. Doesn't change
I don't
anything.
negotiate, alright, Edie? You either take it or you don't.
Well, I'll do a line and we'll see how good it is.
So this is a recipe.
Fuck. Just remember, I'm here to make sure that you don't do the thing that you said you were going to do. Yeah, that's why you're called. Do you have all the fucking answers? Do ya?
All right, so Adam, tell us about Call Time. What's the elevator pitch?
Call Time. Yeah, Call Time is a story about a drug and alcohol counselor who gets called by her sponsee during a time of potential relapse. And it all takes place in a single night. And we need to find out, does she give him the support that he needs? And is he going to relapse despite her best efforts?
Yeah. Did this come from a very personal place for you? Was the story something personal to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, Reservoir, Thomastown, Epping, and yeah, drugs were a pretty big part of my young adulthood. I knew a lot of friends who would get addicted to certain drugs and just totally lose their weight. Mm-hmm. And it would have been about 3 years ago when we shot Call Time. It's been a while. We did it for the Philharmonic Cabaret. And in that period, it would have been maybe 6 months prior, just before I flew over to Samoa to do a feature, I found out via the news that an old friend from my high school was shot and murdered in the western suburbs. And it's probably not my place to comment on it because I don't even know all the details, but his name was Eamon Fartho, and he was a year below me at my high school. And he was just a very, I don't know how to say it, just he's rough around the edges, but very funny, very respectful to me when he didn't have to be. And we had like it wasn't a close friendship, but it was a very good one. Mm. And when I got that news, it just spun me around, and I wanted to write a film and direct this film, just commenting about what I like to think is it's the sadness of life. It's people wasting their potential. It's people struggling with things that aren't in. They're not. It's not natural to be a drug addict. Mm-hmm. It's not something that we. For most of us, it's not something that we are when we're children. It's something that we go through life. We have all of these struggles, trauma, and we come into contact with people or an environment that puts us in closer proximity to it and normalizes it. And then suddenly you're a drug addict, or you're a dealer, or you're this, or you're that. And I think all of that stuff is in this film, but what I wanted to explore more was like, well, what happens if you can remove yourself from a situation and you've got the opportunity to? And how do you do the hardest part, which is abstaining or removing yourself from that situation?
That's, I got to say, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm guessing it's a while ago now, but of course that's going to stay with you. So you came from an environment where there was a lot of drug use or people around you were imbibing. How did that influence you and your journey as a filmmaker? Did that?
So when I went to high school, I had a teacher. His name was Paul Zabrowski, and this guy did 70 episodes on Neighbours. And he was teaching at my high school was the bottom 10 enter scores in the whole state.
Wow.
So not 10%, bottom 10.
Bottom 10.
Out of like 2,000 or however many high schools in Victoria, bottom 10. So it's one of the worst in this whole state. And he was teaching there. And I took to it like a duck to water in his acting classes. And in year 12, we lost a good friend of ours, Taylor, who to suicide. And it spun me around as well that time. And I remember in year 12, I was speaking to Mr. Zabrowski, and I wanted to become an actor. And I asked him in the counseling sessions where they just talk about job future, and he's like, "Look, if you want, here's a book." And he gave me this book of male monologues by Dean Carey, who was the former head of NIDA. And he told me, read this book. Go and apply for WAPA, VCA, NIDA, Ballarat Uni, but do it when you're 22, 21. They won't accept you when you're 18. So it stuck in my head. And I decided, a couple of years went by, the party years and going into my corporate career. And then when I was 22, I was in a car accident, and nothing came out of it except I wanted to physically, but just the helplessness of being in that car accident. I did a bit of a life inventory, and I wanted to do acting. I wanted to discover that. So I enrolled in acting when I was 22. Fast forward a couple of years, went to 16th Street. I did the 18-month program there. It changed my life. But I think what I keep bringing it back to is this. When you come from where I come from, there's not that many people who consider arts. There's not that many people who go and see theatre. I might have seen the theatre twice in all of my life, up to the point in which I went to acting school. And one time it was at the Arts Centre, and the other time was at the Darabin Arts Theatre.
Yeah.
And, it's not something that is endemic or culturally viable for people who grew up where I grew up. And I think where it comes from is, if I didn't have arts, I'd probably be dead. I absolutely wouldn't have any goodness to surround myself with. I wouldn't have great friendships. I definitely wouldn't have the ability of empathy, wouldn't have self-awareness. And I think those aren't things that inherently come from being in the arts, but they're skills and things that can influence you and rub off on you. And I thank God every day that I have my craft and I've got a viable opportunity to make it, because I just keep thinking, like, for myself, like, what if more people from where I grew up,
What if they had the same access that you've found in your adult life? Yeah.
1,000,000%.
You started this journey as an actor, but then you've since transitioned into the role of a filmmaker. Do you still act at all?
Occasionally, not as much. Look, early on, I realized if I want to have a career in film, I need to be behind the camera. And so I moved into directing, but I didn't realize very small minority of directors actually make money. So I moved into cinematography. I don't know if I will pursue acting professionally like I used to, because you need the hunger and you've got to have the bullshit capacity to deal with the rejection, right?
Yeah.
And it's brutal. I auditioned for over 100 different projects during COVID. I got a call back on La Brea, whiffed out on Ricky Stanicki, whiffed out on a couple of other projects that I had the opportunity to put a self-tape in. I don't know if it's something that I want to put my heart and soul into anymore, unless the right script came along. Because, and you know the feeling, you certainly don't go to art school or an acting, you don't go to acting school to sell shoes or insurance or sign people up to a gambling app.
Yeah.
It's not why we sacrifice and we slave away and try to become authentic versions of ourselves and practice the art of vulnerability. But yeah, I will say, even if it doesn't happen for me again, I really appreciate everything that my acting profession taught me, because I know what to look for in a performance as a director. and I know how to diagnose in an actor if something's blocking them,
Yeah.
if they're resisting something, or if there's tension in their body or their voice. I know how to do things in a roundabout way that will stop that from robbing them of a great performance and authenticity without trying to like hit it on the head and put them even more into that insecurity or anxiety.
Yeah, and I have heard some, I think directors mostly talk about how it's so essential for other directors to go to acting schools, even if you never intend to be an actor, just to go to an acting school to learn that craft and to learn at least the glossary to be able to communicate with an actor. I think that's a huge benefit that you have to be able to communicate with them like that. So on a set, do you consider yourself to be a director or a cinematographer, or a combination, or something else entirely?
For the most part, I DP and direct, so it's hard for me to like put a label on like one or the other. I just mostly do both.
Yep.
I have the experience as a cinematographer. I've got the experience as a director. I do trust that I have the skill set and also the trust in myself to be able to get what I want stylistically and performance-wise, even if I'm operating a camera. It does have its own challenges, but it's not to say I want to be opposed to working with another DP in future, because I think at a certain point, there might be a project out there that I come across and I'm like, no, I can't do this style. It's not for me. Or potentially the level of commitment to direct an actor and help them develop their way in the story is so enormous that I do need to delegate it to effectively do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say for probably the vast majority, 90% of the films that I direct, I've DP'd every one of them.
Mm-hmm. And it was the same on Call Time then?
That's right. Yep. I did the camera operating as well as the directing.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Call Time then.
Sure.
What was the inception process? You started writing it after your tragic experience with your friend. After you had a script together, what was your next step in getting it produced?
So I should preface this that this was a Philharmonic cabaret film. So the Philharmonic Cabaret is every year they have like a 72-hour film challenge.
Okay.
And people come together over 72 hours to write, film, cast, do everything, go into production, then do post, and then screen it on the Monday or Tuesday night.
Wow, that's a quick turnaround.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And I signed up, it would have been my first or second, excuse me, would have been my first or second cabaret. I love it. I always try to do one every year. Did it this year and the year before. It's just a good way to just keep your claws sharp. And I think the more you do things and you drill it and it's instinctual, and the more films you make, the better you become. Not necessarily the better your art becomes, it's just the better you become as
Just
a...
the more skills you have, the more
100%.
practiced you are at the craft. Yeah.
That's right. And I had this film idea in my head leading up to it, because a lot of people, they'll come up with the idea themselves, but I don't really, that's not how I operate. So I had it in my head, and then the week prior, I just did like a brief outline. That night, I met up with my my co-writer, and we went through the script with a fine-tooth comb, and he helped me punch it up, Alex, I believe. And we worked on it, and I got some amazing advice. Had it cast that night. I had my crew all locked in on the Friday night.
Yep.
Then on the Saturday, went to work filming it.
Cool.
Sunday filmed it, and then had it turned around. It was either Monday night or Tuesday during the day, one of the two. So pretty insane.
It's a very quick turnaround. So you say you had your crew set that night. Did you already know who you were going to talk to beforehand about?
Yeah. some of them I met at the cabaret. Some of them I already knew in the industry beforehand, and I invited them to take part of the cabaret and jump on board this. So it was a bit of a mix.
How many crew in total?
I'd hesitate to say more
Yeah,
than
that's fair. Like we don't want to.
6 to 7.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And mostly doing things like, anyone have like a specific role on set, or was there a lot of just empty hands, kind of helping out wherever they needed?
I had an AC for one of the nights. Then that's Ollie. Then I had Utkarsh, who's my sound recordist, and then he had his boom op there as well. We had a few spare hands during it as well. And then we also divvied up the gaffer role. I mostly lit. I lit a lot of the movie myself, and I also shared that with my AC on the second night.
And the cast as well. Did you already know who you were going to choose for that? Who you were going to cast in that, or did you have to go looking?
No, I met Billy Rose. I met her at the monthly Philharmonic meetup. And I remember seeing her in a film, and I just thought, wow, that is an actor who knows vulnerability and is very well trained. And I had Billy Rose audition that night, and I also met Lawrence there too. And Lawrence, I met Lawrence at the Philharmonic monthly meetup. Again, another amazing actor. And I think what I look for in films is I try to use the main cast and fill them up with actors who I just know love it. They're passionate about it.
Yeah.
They also inspire me because they remind me of all the things that I remembered learning at acting school. And I think if there's one thing about making a film, it's that you're in a constant act of reminding yourself about what the standard is, living truthfully under imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
And then I think for the most part, the rest of the cast were other people that I met at the Philharmonic Cabaret. And some of them, especially in the final shot, it's actually both the sound crew who wander into the camera. So yeah, we made use of everything in true guerrilla fashion.
Well, it's handy as well because, spoiler alert, but it's a film about a guy at a gig. He's about to play a gig, and I don't know if this has been your experience, but I tend to find a lot of people who are in the sound department of films are usually like bass players in bands. Yeah. I mean, musicians of any kind, but for some reason, a lot of them are bass players.
Well, that's funny because my soundy Utkarsh told me, I just called him up last week, and yeah, he's actually in a band right now.
Yeah.
So,
what's he playing?
I actually don't know. It could be bass. We'll say it's bass. Yeah.
Just for the sake of my argument.
He's got big bass energy here.
Yeah. Fair. So, the show is called Planning to Fail, and one thing we're really interested in this show is, this is independent filmmaking. It's not always easy, and a lot of the times there are limitations. And especially if you're participating in something that's a 72-hour turnaround, I have to assume there are a lot of limitations that, a lot of the decisions that you make going in are going to be influenced by what you have access to and, budget. Well, first of all, so let me start the question by saying, what was the budget of the film?
It would be between 500 to 1,000.
Okay.
So that was just like, and that was mostly to do with catering and just hiring locations.
Yeah.
No, it didn't cost all that much.
But were there any decisions that you made going into it as you were writing the script and as you were talking with about the production of it, that were influenced by the limitations that you had, whether it was the budget or the location that you could have access to, or even the cast that you had available to you?
Well, there is something I could talk about this. So I think philosophically speaking, one of the things I've really dived into in the last couple of years is understanding that the compromises begin in the ideation sometimes. There's no point making like a Western big budget blockbuster when you don't have Western big budget blockbuster money.
Yeah.
So for this, I already knew it has to be a small cast. It can't be an enormous amount of locations. It can't be overly lit in a very technical and difficult to do way. No VFX, no special effects. It really needs to be performance-based driven, and all of the costume, props, wardrobe, etc. really has to come from the cast too. So that did away a lot of the other genres like crime, thrillers, etc., horror, etc. And there weren't necessarily things that were on my mind when I came up with the story regardless, but I also knew no permits. If I do hire a location, it's got to be for a specific reason, and I need to make do with the minimal equipment that I not that I have, because I have a lot of equipment, but more if I know I don't have a gaffer, so I'm bringing very small portable LED lights, and I'm going to be using well lit natural areas that I already know in the back of my head, and I know I don't have to rig up a lot of lights to get usable exposure. And we also filmed the center hub of the cabaret was down at a old recording studio / rehearsal room.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it, but it's in Yarraville. And I knew that would be really good for some of the locations as well, which thankfully it was.
Yeah. So those were the locations that you used. Were that was the bar space was at the center hub?
Yes, that's right. So in terms of those locations, so over in Maribyrnong / Footscray, where the bridge that connects, I think it's Dinan Road over to Footscray. We shot by the riverside there because there's great street lights.
Yeah.
A lot of natural, good exposure, so you don't have to rig up a lot of lights. We use a single light for that. Second location in the green room, I did hire a place called the Green Room, which was at like a sound recording studio. So I think that cost me about $250 for the full time that we used it. And then finally the toilet / bar scene that was shot at that was shot at the hub of the Philharmonic Cabaret. So that didn't cost any money for that.
Did anything happen that was unexpected?
So the hardest thing was finding at a very short notice the rehearsal room, because I did not have that booked until the day of, and I was calling around, looking online, all of these different locations, and I was driving to location on the phone with someone at a venue, and I was like just trying to book it, and no, they weren't available on the Sunday because they were closing. And then I mentioned, look, I have a production business of my own. Like I'm not just like a random person running to hire your space.
Yeah.
And then eventually they said, all right, no, that's all right, because look, you've got a business, you're legitimate. We'll trust you with the keys, but if there's anything that goes wrong, we'll have to bill you for the damage. So I think the hardest part was just scrambling to find that right location for the green room, and it's very synchronous that it's also called the green room, and it is literally a green room.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can possibly think of was there was a lot of noise at the hub when we were recording the toilet / pub scenes. So we added in live music from an artist called Riff, who I did a music video for.
Oh, very cool.
And all of the files and songs that you hear come from a performance that he did in Frankston. And I really wanted to have that live music as a part of the feel there. It needs to feel like that green room is at the back of a pub and you hear it
Yeah.
very muffled, because that's the whole thing about immersion. If we just see people in this room and there's no music, or it's like it's not a live performance, it's just
Absolutely.
like something that's made to feel that way.
Yeah.
It's not the same. And you lose that immediacy in believing that these physically different locations in different suburbs, they're not in the same building.
Yeah, and I think that in general, sound is one of those things where like, and usually like you're not adding the Foley, you're not adding the effects on the day of, you're adding them after the fact. And it's only when they're in there that like the immersion becomes believable.
Bad sound is unforgivable.
Something that I'm really curious about is you had, not only did you have to turn this around in 3 days, but you had to get actors to come in and to be off book and to find the given circumstances of their role within such a short period of time. What was that like for you directing them? But what was that experience like for them performing it?
I think for myself, if I have good actors, I know that they'll read the script first off, because everything comes from the analysis of the script and understanding your character, the goals, the objectives that they need to overcome, what's driving you, obstacles, etc. So in that time, I didn't have an issue so much with the lead actors, Lawrence and Billy Rose. I think the role of a director is to guide a performance and to guide the story along and kind of be like I don't know, like a trip sitter in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but like if I see
a good explanation.
If I see in someone maybe in a moment they don't believe their words, then I know that I have to connect them back to something innately inside them that makes them believe. And you spoke about this in the pre-interview. You were mentioning like it's a difference between acting and living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. I think like directors and like writers, actors too, you go through these sets and you have these bad, experiences because like the quality of work and commitment is so low. And then when you step onto a set and you see someone not fooling around in front of you and they're really embodying something real, oh, that's what acting's about. That's what acting's. I remember doing that with my teacher and my scene partner. Of course, great. So I think it has to do with that, just wakening people up and making them aware on the level of consciousness they have for their performance. I think too that good actors will recognize something in the other actor and work off each other. They won't work independently and alone. And that's something I learned in Meisner.
Yeah.
When you do Meisner technique, you make everything like a game of life or death. You make it about the other person, not yourself, and you don't independently self-generate thoughts or emotions without it. Because writing is rewriting, acting is reacting.
Yep.
Even if you're alone, you're reacting to something that happened before, that day, a moment ago, or a thought.
Or the environment around you.
100%. Lawrence and Billy Rose had a good dynamic, and I got them to really think about things. And this is a Chubbuck technique. It's substitution. You're substituting this character for someone real in your life, and now suddenly it feels real.
Yeah.
And luckily they both they don't need to explain what it was, but they did it and it made sense. And I was like, that's great, awesome.
So obviously this exercise was quite specific. Turnaround 72 hours, however small amount of budget you can bring into yourself. If you didn't have those restrictions, if you decided to chase this story just on your own impetus, would you have done anything differently? Imagining, for instance, that you had an unlimited budget as well, what would you do differently?
Say if I didn't have the time limitation, it was more financial, I would have probably shot it on this Bolex 16mm camera.
Wow.
And I think the more that I shoot as a director and the more I shoot as a cinematographer and the more I direct as a director, I am so drawn to photochemical celluloid. And I think having done this for so long now, learning how to shoot on film has been like breathing for the first time.
Right.
It's been like learning a second language, and then like that's now your mother tongue.
Yeah.
It takes a real skill to do this, but I would say for anybody my age and older, or maybe like just slightly younger millennials, all of the cinematic experiences that they had were all shot on film for the majority of it. They were all projected on film
Yeah.
as well. And what you lose in that, like seeing every pore, because you've got filters and you've got a 2K scan, 2K projection print, there's a magic inherent in that. And if you were to look at Indiana Jones, I don't think it would have that same sort of magical sense to it, because it makes it look like a painting, the dyes, etc. I do like digital. It's not to say I don't shoot on digital, but whenever I get the real opportunity to, I shoot on film, because it does require commitment. It requires a line in the sand, and you're going, I'm going to shoot film on this one. I don't care about the money. It's not it's an irrational economic thought, and I'm doing it for my own pleasure. I'm doing it to tell this story because this is the right medium. So if I were to shoot it, I would shoot it on film. I know it would be a lot harder to light, but art finds a way to succeed regardless.
Also, I did say unlimited budget.
Yeah. But even an unlimited budget doesn't necessarily solve all your problems.
Yeah.
Because you got a skill gap, you have all of these things, and I think about that movie John Carter of Mars that had a $200 million budget or something like
Is that? Oh my, yeah.
and it was just a big tank. I would shoot it on film. I also think I would shoot at a real pub with real people downstairs.
Everything in the same location. And
I'd choose, I'd definitely pick a different location. I want something lived in that doesn't feel like it's a set. I need it lived in. I'd really love it when I walk to a location and I don't have to do anything. I might have to move a few things, but this looks like a real place that musicians go to before a big set. And I would also probably like record the live sound on location. But I think the music would be a problem. But nonetheless, I find as I keep going along, I really love authentic locations and not trying to not trying to mess up the formula so much by overly controlling it.
What happens next with it? Where can people see it, and what's on the horizon?
I'm going to be very selective about what festivals I put it in, because I already know, just with the limitations of what I have, some film festivals won't want it as a part of their programming. And to be honest, I also have this philosophy that film festivals, for the most part, can be a monumental waste of time. And if I put every single film that I went into, I'd probably be out 10 grand without much gain. Nonetheless, definitely will be looking selectively at different film festivals. I will put it out to a wider online release where I think it will do much better at getting eyeballs onto. Apart from that, I will be screening it at the Melbourne Filmonic Meetup, which happens once a month. So I'm looking forward to screening it at the next one, which I believe it'll be on the 22nd of May. Could be wrong about that date, but nonetheless, I'm going to screen it more within Melbourne filmmaking groups where I think it'll have better impact, not only to what the film is, but also for me and my networking opportunities.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And what's next on the horizon for you personally?
In terms of other projects, I'm working on a 70s inspired mafia film with a director called Matthew Millington. So we've had this prepared for 10 months.
Wow.
And the budgets are probably in the tens of thousands of dollars. So it's a pretty, there's a lot of resource being thrown at this short film. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. Shooting on vintage lenses for that too, and trying to chase like a 70s 70s neo Hollywood I don't know if you're familiar with Killing of a Chinese Bookie, John Cassavetes,
Haven't seen it.
Robert Altman, The Long Goodbye. There's a whole big world of films out there, and I hadn't seen much of those films until in my late 20s, but there's something about that era that I just love, and I'm very inspired by it. It's so different to filmmaking today. Apart from that, the thing that I've just done, which probably is ridiculous, but nonetheless I've done it, I have purchased what's called an Reflex SR1. It's a 16mm cinema camera. The movie Primer was shot on it. There were a couple of other films that were shot on these, and they were the very first proper 16mm cinema camera that could capture high quality images cheaply without needing an expensive baffle for recording on location. I picked that up for about $10,000, and it was a huge leap of faith. It's a lot of money, but I'm now the second owner of this camera, and I am so committed to shooting more on film. So if there's someone out there that wants to shoot on film and wants somebody who knows the workflow back to front,
He's the guy to talk to. Adam, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks so much for talking about film and your experience on the set of Call Time. We can't wait to see what you do next.
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.